Do you think the markets read that Donald Trump doesn't care about the level of the S&P? He cares more about the borrowing costs of the U.S. government and Bessent, his Treasury Secretary. Do you think it's the right read that they don't care so much what the S&P 500 is doing, that they actually care more about the long-term borrowing cost, the 10-year and the 30-year borrowing cost of the U.S. government? Do you think that's the right read by the market?
I love that you asked this question because this
happy birthday.
This is a true birthday present for me because that question, it probably would push me over the edge. If we weren't getting Dave's hot chicken for lunch, that question would put me over the edge today because there's so many assumptions in that question that I am that I don't believe one of them. Like every single aspect of that question from the do you think that Trump cares about the S&Ps to essentially what you're suggesting is if we let the S&Ps go to hell, then they'll bid up the bonds and lower the borrowing costs, right?
Yeah, I think the read by
of course you do.
Market participants. No. Hold on. I'm giving you the setup. I think we're actually
come on. That is the setup. I love that setup. That is the classic. That is the classic right-wing apologist tour answer to the very simple question of why are stocks going down and bonds going up? I absolutely love it. It's like, let's push us into a recession so that we can lower our debt costs. Okay, you are giving people that can barely speak English, that can barely pronounce words, a way more credit than they deserve. Okay, there's none of that involved. We're talking about $100 trillion bond and stock market. None of these guys can move that, either one of those markets, one penny, even if they wanted to. There's not a chance. So the idea that we're trying to get rates lower to finance debt at better rates and not worry about the S&Ps is ridiculous to me. Ridiculous. No president, forget about Trump, no president could do that. It's not possible. And no president can control interest rates. It is not possible.
Okay. So I guess in order to, and I don't totally disagree, there's this thing floating around on Twitter that the reason behind all of these high wire action negotiations is that the U.S. government has $7 trillion in debt that is coming due, and that the goal here is to create demand for longer term treasuries, which lower the yield and lower the refinancing costs. So that's the setup for what you're responding to.
Is there ever a time when first of all, every government everybody's always borrowing money. Governments they borrow money. That's what they do. Yep. And so there's never a time in history when anybody actually wants higher rates so they can pay more to borrow. Like so the idea that all of a sudden the $7 trillion debt popped up, there's always a debt. And every single administration since the beginning of time wants lower interest rates. So the idea that we're doing this to lower interest rates, that's not even remotely fair. I mean, every administration wants lower rates. Every administration wants lower borrowing costs. It makes them look good. It makes everything look good. It makes it easier to balance everything. So this is not something new, and it's not something they can control. If they could, we would basically be borrowing it next to zero. I mean, what they should do is they should sit down with Michael Saylor and ask, hey, how can you borrow money at zero?
What's your business model? How'd you do it?
I mean, that's what I can't believe they haven't done yet. At tomorrow's crypto meeting, they should just bring in Michael Saylor and say, listen, you idiots, this is how you borrow money. You borrow money at less than 1% because all you got to do is buy Bitcoin with it. I mean, you want a real answer. As silly as that is the answer. Like, let's stop thinking that anybody can create a recession to raise rates or this or that or whatever else. None of that is true. None of that can happen. It's redunculous.
I agree with most of that. Do you think that there are some presidents who care a little bit more about the bond market than others. For instance, Bill Clinton, it seems, had people around him that really encouraged him to care about the bond market.
All right, let me ask you the question a different way, because I'm going to ask the question a different way.
Sure.
You've been alive for, well, going back to Clinton, right? That's your lifetime.
I'm 39 years old. I don't know what that statement was.
You're going back to you're actually going back to Bush.
Clinton.
Clinton, Bush. That's when you were born. I'm just presenting all the presidents that were alive, everybody 86. That was a president since you were born. And I'm going to tell you this. You could go back even further if you want. You can go back into the 60s if you want. I'm going to ask the question.
Yeah.
If you had a lot of money, is there a single U.S. president that you would trust to manage your money? I can tell you right now that I don't think a single U.S. president could even explain market structure. I told you about the story when I asked Ben Bernanke what he would do if he had to manage his own money in the bond market. And he said, I don't know. I don't do that. I have a Merrill Lynch advisor do that. I don't trust one of these guys. It's not Trump. It's not Biden. It's not Obama. It's not, Bush or whoever it was, or Clinton. I wouldn't trust Reagan, Carter. You go back to whatever, Nixon. There's not a single U.S. president I would trust to manage one freaking penny of my money. So the idea that one of these guys even understands what a bond market is, if you think you went into Trump right now and asked him to explain how the bond market works, do you think he could do that? Not a chance. I don't think Biden could have. I don't think Obama could have. Okay, and forget about anybody else.
Which is ironic, Sadnov, because Alan Greenspan and you share a birthday together, and I don't know if he knows what bonds are going to do. So
my whole point is,
correct.
Tony, you know that this is accurate. You would not have one of these guys, not one U.S. president, as smart as they all are, you would not have one of them manage your money. So the idea that they have
true only because Nancy Pelosi has not been a president of the United States.
That's right. She's the goat.
That's the only thing that makes your statement true.
Let me tell you what. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Nancy Pelosi that everybody fails to recognize, which is really important. You can say whatever crap you want about her investing and all the other garbage. The fact that she actually trades is why she knows so much more than anybody else. And this has been my argument from day one. Let all these guys, let the freaking president of the United States trade. Go in there, okay, and do a couple of 0 DTE SPX trades.
Give me a break, bro. You say that now when it fits your narrative. But
no, it doesn't. I've been saying this for 40 years.
Floor, Mr. Birthday Boy. But then when the president of the United States goes, "Hey, not only am I going to trade, here's my stupid coin." You had so much shit to say about
Listen,
that.
there's a big difference.
Which one is it, Tom?
I have no issue. I have no issue with the president of the United States trading on his own. Don't yell out what you're doing, that kind of thing, but just trade on your own. Just do whatever you want. I do have an issue with the president of the United States issuing a worthless meme coin and ripping off consumers for billions of dollars. Yes, I have a problem with that. Fraud is fraud. Okay, but if you tell me right now that Trump wants to go into the Oval Office and trade S&Ps all afternoon today, be the greatest thing that ever happens to this country. You want Trump to go trade a few?
I wish Nancy Pelosi would cross the aisle so I could see how.
Oh my God, you're out of your mind.
How much of this is partisan? That Nancy Pelosi on one side of the aisle.
You're out of your mind.
This lady has not.
You're out of your mind.
Material information, and she's.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. I can't even listen to you.
I'm in favor of them trading, but bro, we have to find some way to mitigate the
trade all you want. You think if I told you, I'll give you NVIDIA's. Okay, I will give you. I will give you NVIDIA's next earnings. You couldn't tell me what the stock's going to do.
Should CEOs have a blackout period? CEOs have a blackout period on their earnings. Should they have a blackout period, Tom?
Should CEOs have a blackout period? Yes.
Before their earnings.
Yes.
So a CEO should have a blackout period from trading his own stock, but a person who's on the oversight committee should not have a blackout period?
They don't have the earnings
should
results.
Be able or can?
They don't have the earnings results.
Bro, come on.
And listen, and let me tell you something else. As a CEO, I've never met a single CEO that has any idea what their earnings will actually do for a stock. And that's the truth. I've never met a single CEO that knows. And myself, okay, I consider myself to be an experienced trader. And when we ran a public company, we would sit around, a couple of us, and we'd look at we knew what our earnings were. And we're like, do you think our stock's going to go up or down based on these earnings? I swear to you, every single time in the room, we were both on different sides. Scott and I were always on different sides. And we were never right. Like, one of us had to obviously be right, but for all the reasons that we thought were going to be right, we were wrong. Even CEOs don't know. But I think that will piss people off and they'll be too obvious.
But if you knew you were going to win a big contract, I know there's no contract in your business.
Earnings by
you would know that. I mean, come on, you're cherry.
Let me ask you a question, both of you guys. Let me ask you a really question. You saw Nvidia's earnings last time, right? You saw their earnings post their announcement. They had record everything. Everything was a huge record. In fact, when the stock opened up, it opened unchanged and it traded about $5 higher.
I would have been short every penny.
You would have mortgaged your freaking house to buy everything that you own, and then you would have doubled it. Okay? You guys are such bullshitters. You would have mortgaged your house to buy every share of Nvidia you could have.
All right, here's the thing. For the record, I just want to say, I agree with you that we should not ban them from trading. I think that's a horrible mistake, and we will live to regret it. I think they should be required to pre-announce their trades to the marketplace, let the market eat up their alpha, because I do think they have an edge. You don't believe they have an edge? I do. Oh my God. So give the edge away.
I think they should all be able to trade. I don't think they should say anything to anybody, because that gives like dumbasses like the people that write about this stuff, and to a certain extent all this kind of ammo. And gives you all this fodder and all this garbage. Okay, it's so ridiculous.
Oh man,
I don't think anybody has I love it. Like talking heads in financial media. Nobody knows.
And I can't tell if you're playing the heel on this issue. I seriously cannot tell if you're playing the heel because you know it makes good content and you know you're the only one on this side of the argument, or if you honestly believe this. I cannot tell if you honestly believe that somebody who's sitting at the head of an oversight committee who knows you're either going to get a massive subsidy contract or you're going to get the opposite. You're going to be investigated.
Oh, you mean like the 20?
You mean like that information?
You mean like the $20 billion to Intel? You mean like the $20 billion and another $20 billion and the CHIP Act and all that stuff to Intel still it's low? You have no idea. You guys you're living in such a freaking demented, like you're just living in this world that doesn't even exist. You're like 50 years behind the times. We are so far ahead of this now.
Hey, Tom, can I ask you, has
for a young person
ever sold an NFT? Have you ever sold NFTs?
NFTs?
Has Tasty's business ever sold a coin like an NFT?
No.
You've never sold an NFT?
I have NFTs, yes.
No, that's not what I asked you. And stop obfuscating around the answer to the question.
What's
know
your
what
question?
I'm asking. Have you ever sold? Has Tasty Trade ever sold an NFT to a customer?
No, we can't. We're not allowed to.
Oh, then I rest my case, counselor. You've got this one.
What do you mean?
Victor, I've been in closed doors with him. I've been behind the cameras with him. This is exactly how he feels.
Hey, Victor,
he's delusional.
It is. We've given away NFTs. Does that count?
Yeah, I realized after I asked that question, it wasn't relevant.
I mean, it's not legal, so. I mean, but now you can, I guess, because you can't get in trouble for anything anymore. But so you can do whatever you want. But it hasn't been legal until now.
Yeah, it's legal now, man. It's free for all out there. I don't know if you've noticed or not.
Everything's legal now.
Coin tomorrow. Nobody's coming after you. It's a wild, wild west out there.